Hey, Eric here. If you've been following my channel for a while, you've probably already heard me explain the reasons why I had to move all the way from New Hampshire back to California. To summarize, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and I moved back to spend as much quality time as possible with him and to help my parents through this difficult time. It wasn't an easy decision. Things were going really well for me in New Hampshire. I hated to leave all that behind. But at the end of the day, family is more important, and I knew that no matter how difficult, this was something I had to do. So I was going to move back across the country. I got rid of everything I thought I could part with and packed the rest in the back of my truck, and then I hit the road. My plan was to go on a more southerly route. I'd already been across the northern US more than once, and I wanted to see some different scenery. Plus, it had been a wild winter in the mountains of the West, and I wasn't confident that I could get through the Rockies and the Sierra Nevadas without complications. So even though it was a bit further, I decided to go down the East Coast, over the mountains into Tennessee, and ride Interstate 40 all the way west. But this was no sure thing either. Major thunderstorms and even tornadoes are a real possibility there this time of year. Indeed, just days before and days after I went through, there were deadly twisters in the area. So I watched the forecast like a hawk, and I felt confident that my schedule would take me through there at a perfect window of opportunity. So I rolled the dice and went for it. When I moved to the East Coast several years ago, it was kind of like my personal Iliad. I was on an ideological crusade to try and find a place more in line with my own thinking, and it was quite a battle to get there. Going west again felt like my own personal odyssey, another epic adventure to take me back home where I faced a whole new set of challenges. I'll never forget these two journeys, or my time in New Hampshire, all the amazing people I met and unforgettable experiences I've had. They made my life much richer than it was before. Unfortunately, I was in a big hurry to get across the country without any extra time or money to play around with. I didn't have any time to stop and see the sights or even film anything except straight through the front windshield. So what you're about to see is basically just the drive, but I'll try to show you just the interesting parts and I'll explain what I was thinking and feeling along the way. Now that you know the background, let's dive right into the adventure. Before we begin the journey, please remember to click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, ring the bell to get notified whenever I post something new, leave a comment to tell me what you thought, share it with your friends. All that kind of stuff helps the channel keep growing so I can go more places more often. Now, on with the show. Day 1, Concord, New Hampshire to Winchester, Virginia. It was snowing at my home in New Hampshire when I left early in the morning. The beginning of the trip in the Northeast was the most complicated. Once I passed the middle of Massachusetts, I was in pretty uncharted territory. I had to make several turns. Thank goodness for navigation apps. By this point, the weather was beginning to clear up, revealing blue skies. I've seen some bad cities, but this one's worster. Just kidding, I'm sure it's a perfectly nice place. It had been several years since I visited Connecticut.
Welcome to Connecticut.
This stretch of southwest Connecticut into New York had many interesting overpasses. The Mario Cuomo Bridge was pretty impressive. I could see the New York City skyline off in the distance to the left here. Honestly, that's about as close as I want to get. I'm not much of a big city person these days. First time ever in New Jersey.
Welcome to New Jersey.
Thank goodness I'm not in New York anymore. I've never been to New Jersey and assumed it was basically a big suburb. I was surprised how hilly it was. It was windy around here too. I was feeling a little better with each new state. I had been to Pennsylvania once before, but all the way in the opposite corner of the state back when I moved to New Hampshire initially. Around here, the landscape was beginning to flatten out. It might sound weird, but after living in hilly, rocky New England for years, this was kind of refreshing. In southern Pennsylvania, I was starting to see open fields and farms. I wasn't here for long, but Maryland was another state that I had never been to before. I passed close by the Civil War battlefields of Gettysburg and Antietam, among others. It hurt not being able to stop, but this was no pleasure cruise. Someday I'll visit those places and hopefully film them for this channel. West Virginia, another state that I've never been to. Sometimes this place gets a bad rap, but I picked up a good vibe going through there. I'd love to visit properly someday. And Virginia! I've never been here either. I stayed the night in a town called Winchester, which has tons of Civil War history that I didn't have time to see. That night I was serenaded by the dulcet tones of loud mariachi music blasting out of someone's car parked right outside my hotel room door. Despite impassioned calls to the hotel's management, these people didn't turn the music off until after 10 p.m. I don't know about you, but all I want in a hotel room is peace and quiet and a restful night's sleep. If you're gonna have a party, go to a bar or a nightclub or something. The hotel parking lot is not the place for it. It's absolutely ridiculous that the hotel management would allow this to happen. However, believe it or not, that was not the worst hotel experience I had on this trip. But you'll have to tune in for the rest of the adventure to hear more details. Thanks for watching.